What is up, Spokane Ghost Talk fans? This is your ghost host with the most, Brian James, with yet another podcast in Podvember. This one is a big one. This is the biggest one I've done to date. I am nervous as hell, but I'm glad I got to talk to this guy before we went on. It really put my mind at ease. He has done so much in the paranormal world and out of the paranormal world. We're gonna get to him in just a second. I wanted to let you guys know that the raffle for winning an investigation with us on December 3rd is still open. It's $5 a ticket and unlimited entry fee. But you know what? I just can't wait anymore for this one. His name's Bobby, and man, this guy is an inspiration to me. He's an author, an investigator, and I'll let him tell you the rest. So everybody, without further ado, Mr.
Hey,
Bobby Gallo. How you doing, brother?
hey everyone, how are you? How are you? I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for all those kind words, but I got to tell you that I am excited to be here. So,
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you. It's a big honor to have you. You are by far my biggest guest to date. And Lisa says, hello, Bobby.
hello, Lisa. How are you?
And that I'm looking good in my awesome sweatshirt. All right. Thank you. Yes. Custom logo. Love it. So, Bobby, man, I mean, wow. You've done so much. I mean, please enlighten our fan. What all you've done in your years.
Oh my goodness gracious. Well, um, I was a professional magician, actually toured all over the world. Colleges, cruise ships, Las Vegas. I did a lot, but
Oh wow.
yeah.
I'm a huge fan of magic.
Well, believe it or not, it has a close correlation to the paranormal, because if anybody knew anything about Harry Houdini, Neville Mascalini, Harry Price, back in the day during the Victorian times, they were trying to debunk the spiritualist movement that became very, very prominent and famous after the Fox sisters. And I always say that the Fox sisters were the forerunners of the modern day ghost hunters. That's really when it started, the mid 1800s. Mary Todd Lincoln, who was the wife of President Lincoln, was very heavily into it. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, who wrote the Sherlock Holmes books, was heavily into it. But what happened was, even though it was started with noble intentions, there were a lot of people out there who were starting to conduct fraudulent seances using magician's tricks. So a lot of the magicians of that day took it upon themselves to debunk these fraudulent spiritualists, even though the real article, that the genuine people were out there, just like the modern day mediums. So being a magician, I wanted to take an opposite approach. I wasn't really trying to debunk ghost hunting. I wanted to prove the paranormal by using my magical talents to probably spot anything fraudulent, but do it in a way where it was, ruling things out so that I could take evidence and say that this is the real deal.
Oh wow. I never in a million years would have put magic and paranormal together. That is spectacular. I mean, world renowned. You're also a musician.
Yeah, that's not something I don't do so much anymore. I mean, I only have so many hours in the day,
Right,
So,
right.
as much as I like playing music, I don't do that as much anymore. But I know we were talking before the show, and you were talking about my website, the International Conservatory of Magic. I was one of the first people to actually have a school for magicians on the internet, which is actually still there at magicschool.ws. It's magicschool.ws, and if you go there, you'll see me because my picture's all over the place. We actually put our ghost hunting videos on there now too, much to the consternation of other magicians, but whatever. It's my site. I can do whatever I want. But
Right, right. The
and
paranormal consultant says a different spin on things. I like it.
yes. Well, and that's the thing, right? I mean, being in the paranormal, we're charting uncharted waters. I'm uncharting. That's not even a word. We are traveling uncharted waters as it is. We might as well have as many different spins as we can, and eventually we'll hit on the one that actually works.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah,
you know,
most definitely.
there's, how old is this, right? I mean, my first investigation was in 1990, which that's a long
Oh,
time ago.
hey,
Yeah, 1990 was my first investigation. I've been
you've
doing it a
been
long.
stuck in this a long time.
Yes, yes, and it's funny. I mean, you guys are in Spokane, Washington, but over here on the East Coast, there is a magazine which is very well known called Weird New Jersey, and they've also done Weird Pennsylvania, Weird New York, but it's a very, very popular, iconic magazine out here. And just over this past summer, they did a 5-page spread on my very first investigation back in 1990. They actually sought me out to do this interview because it
Wow.
was a pretty impactful investigation. So I've been doing it a very, very long time.
Oh, please, by all means, tell us everything about your first investigation.
Well, actually, believe it or not, you could actually see it. I mean, how cool is that, right? I mean, it's on the
Most
web.
definitely.
And I'll tell you where to find that. But basically, it was back in 1990, and there was a haunted theater that was actually built by my two great uncles, my uncle Mike and my uncle John Gallo. And it's not actually now on the National Register of Historic Places. And it fell in disrepair. It wasn't a theater anymore. It was a moving and storage facility, and the current owner was having poltergeist activity. He was having items as large as bread toasters thrown at him.
Oh
Um,
no.
I mean, it was unbelievable. So I got wind of this, and I knew the history of what was the theater at this time, and I was afraid that this thing was going to get torn down. It was a very beautiful old theater. So I went there and I introduced myself and told him who I was. And I said, look, can I do an investigation? And he said, yeah. He goes, you could do the investigation, but I'm telling you right now, I'm not going to go in there. He goes, I don't go in this building after dark. I won't do it. Just won't do it. But he goes, I'll let you do it. He goes, I'll give you the keys. So I went there with a couple friends, and we called ourselves the Psy Guys because one of my friends said, well, we got to have a name. I mean, back then we didn't know what we were doing. There was no such thing as the paranormal investigator wasn't coined yet back then. I mean, so we were just like some guys investigating ghosts. And I went in there with a 35 millimeter camera, a old big VHS camera that
Oh,
just came.
there we
Yeah, it
go.
just came out at the time.
Hell yeah.
A flashlight, candle, and an old key suspended on a piece of string that we were going to use as a pendulum. Because as a magician, I learned how to do, dowsing with a pendulum. Believe it or not, we actually experienced the poltergeist activity. We had a golf ball thrown at us. We went to the top floor, old haunted piano where the ghost supposedly was living, and there was fresh flowers on it. And later on, when we asked about the fresh flowers, they told us they were put up there 6 months ago and hadn't been watered or seen to them since. And they looked like they were fresh as could be. The whole place smelled like a funeral home. That's how fresh they were. And it was an amazing investigation. And years later, the building was purchased by somebody who restored it into a theater again. And
Nice.
he told when he was approached, because the hauntings are still going on to this day, but they're not violent anymore. And we actually did a 20-year follow-up to that investigation. And this magazine contacted us to get the backstory on the hauntings. And that's how we got the 5-page spread. But if you go to ghosthunter.ws, that's ghosthunter.ws, that's our Vimeo channel. It's episode number 1, because it's the
Hell
first one,
yeah.
1990. You could see that investigation. Now, you're not going to see all the activity because, we were taking video here and there, but hey, it's enough where you can see ghost hunting done the way it was done back then. And then years later, I stopped doing it when I had a family, and it was funny because I wasn't ghost hunting for a number of years, and I had kids, and my kids were like, I think it was 8 and 12 at the time. And we were watching this brand new show on the Travel Channel called Ghost Adventures, right? And I was laughing inwardly watching these guys, but I was intrigued. I got to tell you, I was intrigued with the EVPs because we never caught those things back in the day, and
Yeah,
some of this equipment they used. And I turned to my kids and I said to them, I said, hey, kids, they didn't know about my past. And I turned to them and I said, hey, kids, Daddy used to do that too. And wow, all of a sudden the world like stopped. And they looked at me, and it was like that moment in the movie Spy Kids where the kids go, my parents aren't cool enough to be spies. I mean, that was all of a sudden, that was like amazing to them. And immediately my kids wanted to go ghost hunting. I have 2 girls. They wanted to go ghost hunting. I said, are you sure you want to do this? They're like, yeah, we want to do this. I said, all right. So I gathered some equipment together, some of the stuff I used to use and some of the stuff I saw these guys using on TV. And I said, wow, wouldn't it be cool if I just got one good EVP, one good photographic anomaly? And we started out and we started going ghost hunting. And as it turned out, we were getting evidence that was blowing my mind. And we were getting more than these guys on TV. And a lot of people have attributed it to the kids. The kids were kind of like these beacons, these energy beacons for the ghosts. And I believe it. And so we were doing these investigations, and my kids turned out to be fearless. They were not afraid at all. They wanted to find ghosts, and we were getting evidence. So what I did, as I said, I would videotape everything. So I put one episode. I mean, it wasn't an episode back then. It was just a video clip. I put it on YouTube. And back then, you could count the people doing web series, paranormal web series, on one hand. That's not even an exaggeration. There was just nobody doing it. So I put it out on YouTube, and all of a sudden it was getting like tens of thousands of views. And it wasn't because of that it was a paranormal video. It was the dynamic of the family who ghost hunts. These people were fascinated by this husband, wife, and 2 kids out there hunting ghosts.
Oh,
and I said, and I said to myself, maybe there's something here. So what I did is I started the web series Gallo Family Ghost Hunters, and it started going gangbusters, and we were just doing great, and we were actually more popular over in Europe than we were here in the United States. We were getting invites to go over to Europe and investigate like castles and stuff like that. And I had TV shows calling me, wanted me to go on these game shows and stuff like that. Crazy stuff. Like, I turned down half of it. And so we were going really good for a very, very long time. And then we had some negative experiences. And because that comes with the territory, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah.
And we kind of like took a hiatus, but we had this huge following. So some years had passed, and we moved a couple times, and my following said, why don't you write a book on all of your experiences? So I did. And so I wrote the book, and I know I sent you a copy, and the book is right here. It's called Family Spirits, The Adventures and Evidence of Gallo Family Ghost Hunters. And I
You know, your book is just I can't put it down. And I would recommend anybody that's watching this video to definitely pick up a copy of it. You know,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I know before the show you were telling me that you enjoy the book, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate that because I put my heart and soul in that book. I mean, that book is everything I know. Even though I'm writing the second book, a sequel to it, I'll never. I tell my wife all the time I couldn't write that book again. I don't know what was possessing me, but it was like diarrhea of the brain. When I started writing that book, it just flowed out of me. The second book is nowhere nearly as easy to write as that first book, but that book is everything I know, and it's everything is true. See, that's the thing. You know, everything in that book and everything in our web series is 100% genuine. We don't fake anything. And that's a problem that I'm seeing right now in the paranormal world. I know we discussed this too. Too many of these fraudulent phone apps and people trying to become famous and, you know, doing investigations that just turn into these big paranormal parties and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a big problem in the paranormal world right now. And it sucks because, you know, it makes us, you know, who have been doing it 8+ years look like a gang load of jackasses.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know,
And
people ask me all the time, they say, Bobby, do you really believe in ghosts? And I tell them, well, I passed the point of belief a long time ago, to be honest with you.
I passed the point of belief when my 375-pound big ass got pinned down and couldn't move. You know, by something I couldn't see.
Well, hey, look at I mean, yes, I could relate to that because you know, a lot of people ask me because you know, we have, by the way, if anybody goes to our website, where our web series is, which is ghosthunter.ws, which now spans 1990 all the way to the present. We have about 60 investigations on there. And one of those investigations is very similar to what you describe. It's called The Hidden Grave of Thomas Sprott. And people always ask me, they say, Bobby, if I go to your website and I can just watch one, which one should I watch? That's the one I always point them to. Because it starts out with me not being able to enter a cemetery gate. Something was literally keeping me out. And if you watch it, you could feel it just watching the video. It's actually crazy. And that video also has one of our best pieces of evidence, which is a very clear full body apparition.
Oh.
And yeah, so the Hidden Grave of Thomas Sprott, which is you can see at ghosthunter.ws, is the one I would recommend watching if you're going to watch just one. If you're going to watch just one.
And that's just the granddaddy of them all right there. That is, besides the Class A EVP, you know, those are the two grandparents of the paranormal world. That's every investigator's fantasy, you know.
Yeah. And they're, well, you know, here's the thing, you know, the only reason we got that is because we were so respectful, and we actually asked the entity to pose for the picture, and he agreed to do it. And now you're like, well, how did he agree to do it? Were you talking to him? Well, the answer is yes, we actually were. My wife was using the dowsing rods, and we had a communication channel opened, and he was very forthcoming. And when we asked him to pose for a picture, he said yes. And my daughter was taking pictures with an infrared camera, so she could see it forming through the viewfinder, but we couldn't see with our naked eye because it was infrared. And he started as an orb, and he blew into an ectoplasm cloud, and then he finally formed into a full body apparition standing right next to me.
Oh, wow. Man, that is just damn. I mean, on command, even that's bigger than the granddaddy. That's That's like the coup de grace right there.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen again, but
Yeah, no doubt. So the paranormal consultant says, Bobby, I heard East Coast earlier. Where you at?
Well, when we started, we were in the Carolinas. We were living in Fort Mill, South Carolina when we started, as a family, that is. I grew up in New Jersey, and that's where my first investigation was. But then we moved down to the Carolinas. Now we're back up in Pennsylvania, and that's where we are right now. I'm sitting in Pennsylvania
Oh no,
as we speak.
you're gonna get the paranormal consultant all sorts of giddy because he himself is in Pennsylvania.
Where in Pennsylvania?
Yes, Mr. Consultant. Where in Pennsylvania?
I would like
Because
to know
I
this. Big
can't
state.
remember for the life of me.
It is a big state, so.
He says we need to meet up.
Okay.
Andrew McClure says this is an amazing podcast.
Thank you, Chandra. We think you're amazing too, because you're watching.
Joe Grimm wants to know what was the name of the book.
Okay. I'm going to give you guys information. I also have like a discount code for you guys if you're interested, but it's Family Spirits. Let me see if I can hold this up where you can see the title. Family Spirits, The Adventures and Evidence of Gallo Family Ghost Hunters. And it's a big book. It's not a small book. It's actually a really big book. This book hit number 3 on Amazon in the adventure travel category. So it's actually
holy shit.
Yeah, it did really well. If you go to this website, the website is familyspiritsbook.com. That's familyspiritsbook.com. And you enter the promo code 2021, which is the year. You get 21% off the cover price. And that could be phenomenal. Yeah, and that's either for the physical book or the ebook. It's up to you. So familyspiritsbook.com, 2021 is the promo code. That gives you 21% off, either format.
Nice.
Yep.
And the paranormal consultant says he is from Danville, PA.
Where is Danville, PA? I have to look that up. But I'll tell
you, an hour away from Gettysburg.
Okay, I'm a little north. If he knows where like Bethlehem is, that's where I'm around that area right there.
And the paranormal consultant says just bought it.
You rock, dude. Thank you so much. Hey, when we meet up, I will sign it for you. How's that?
Well, speaking of meeting up, it's funny you should mention that, and I get a comment right about the same time. The paranormal consultant is putting on what he calls Para Unity Day.
Okay.
In Danville. It's a fair that shuts down 3 towns. It's going to be March 26th of next year.
March what?
26th.
March 26th.
And
I'm going to write that down.
He's inviting every paranormal investigator, enthusiast, or anybody that has love for the paranormal all across the world to come down and mingle, chew on some good food, get some drinks. He's got a couple of tricks up his sleeve. And the next day, he wants to take everybody on an investigation to Gettysburg.
Oh, that would be very, very cool. I'll tell you what. I mean, Brian, you and I are hooked up on Twitter. If that's the best way to connect with me, to be honest, because I always return my Twitter messages, and it's just the easiest way to connect. So we should connect that way. Paranormal consultant should definitely connect with me there at Bobby J. Gallo. So,
and knowing Mr. Paranormal Consultant, he is gonna have me get in touch with you to be on his podcast as well.
Absolutely.
And his podcast is phenomenal. That's actually where I met him. and he's done nothing but good things for our career over the past year.
That's I'm in. I'm in. I'm in.
So, I mean, tell me more about the book you have going on, man. I mean, no spoilers, of course, but
you
what do the fans have to look forward to while reading this book?
well, now. Do you want to know about Family Spirits or the one that I'm writing?
Oh, just family spirits for now. We don't want to
Okay,
give
good.
any secrets away.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to. This book, there's a lot in this book because, like I said, it's almost 300 pages. It's everything. First of all, it's everything I know about the paranormal that I've garnered since 1990. And the cover, as you can see, that's my whole family on the cover. It's a couple things. The first half of the book is a paranormal primer. It is so. Here's the thing. A lot of people were following our web series, and Brian, that we have a lot of our own lingo and our own terminology that the average everyday person doesn't understand.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, really, we could talk about a lot of things, and a lot of people won't even know what we're talking about. EVP, AVP, pareidolia, things of that nature. So a lot of the people that were following our web series, and we're talking a lot of people here, they actually asked me, they said, could you write a book explaining all of this stuff so that when we watch your web series, we know what you're doing? And I said, wow, I mean, mind blown. That's a great idea. So that's what I did. So when I started writing Family Spirits, the first half is to explain exactly what we do as ghost hunters and paranormal investigators. It explains the terminology, why we do what we do, why certain things work and certain things don't. What is a ghost? I mean, all things like that, the history of ghost hunting, some short biographies of myself and my family so they can get a kind of an insight as to where we're coming from. That's the first half of the book. Now, the second half of the book is actually a walkthrough of every single investigation that we did up to that point. We're talking nearly 60 investigations. Now, why do we need that? Because there's things that happen behind the scenes that you don't see when you're watching the web series. What was the car ride like on the way home? When we had the crap scared out of us, the insights that we learn from an investigation. That's all in Family Spirits. And, and the evidence here will blow your mind because, look, you're an investigator. You have your own evidence, and I'm sure it's awesome. But, we have evidence here that rivals, what these guys are doing on TV. And I think some of it's actually stronger. And the cool thing about it is when you read something in the book and you say, oh man, that sounds too good to be true, or I wish I was there to see that. Well, you can, because when you read it in the book, you can go right to the web series and actually see it happen.
Oh man, my God, that is just phenomenal. I actually was in the process of writing my own book quite a few years back.
You should do it.
I was calling it My Time on the Other Side, The Life of a Paranormal Investigator. And I was on my
good
last
title, by the way.
Thank you. I was on my last chapter, and wouldn't you know it, didn't have it backed up, and the computer crashes. 230 pages, hours of going over every investigation down the drain.
If you ever want to do it again, I'll give you. I'll tell you where I the platform that I love writing on. First time I've ever talked about this during a podcast. But if you go to reedsy.com, REEDYS.com, reedsy.com, I'll put it in the chat.
Nice.
This is 100% free. And if you write your book on that, it's not on your computer. It's on their servers, so you won't lose it.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, and it's such an easy platform. I won't use anything else. I absolutely love it. I have an author's profile on there and everything, but I'm writing my second book using that platform too. So I definitely recommend that. And you won't lose anything if something happens, God forbid, again. So
That's awesome. Somebody's thumbs are about to get very, very tired. MJC says, Bobby, I would love to read your book, brother. MJC Paranormal, that's my North Carolina ghost brother right there.
nice.
We
Nice.
we have a group with a few of the people in here, the paranormal consultant, MJC, Minnesota Spirit Hunters, so on and so forth. And we started what we call a para-unity movement,
Gotcha.
where we're trying to get, all the investigators and teams we can on the same page, on the same team,
Gotcha.
and just trying to start this gigantic movement.
Well, you guys are awesome. I mean, everybody is so friendly and everybody is so cool. But I'm actually reading some of these chat messages right now. You could find first of all, you could find my book anywhere. It's Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Books a Million. It's everywhere. But I have a special link where you can get 21% discount. And that's familyspiritsbook.com, familyspiritsbook.com, and enter the promo code 2021 and you will get 21% off either the physical book or the ebook, whatever you want. But you can also get it on Amazon or Barnes and Noble. And that's the title of the book is Family Spirits, The Adventures and Evidence of Gallo Family Ghost Hunters by Bobby J. Gallo. Again, it hit number 3 on Amazon in the adventure travel category, and we've gotten some really good feedback on it.
Oh man, and I can tell you from just reading just the first few chapters, I'm not a reading type of guy. I hate reading. It's the devil to me. But you got your claws sinking on me, man. I'm
well, I'm going to be honest with you. If you like the first couple chapters, the first part of the book is the toughest part of the book. The second part of the book, when you read, when you're like with us on the investigations, that's the riveting part. To be honest with you, that's the part that people really, really like.
Oh, don't tell me that. You're going to make me jump forward.
No, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. Like the book that I'm writing now, I got like Brian Cano. I'm like really like these big paracelebs that I'm like doing interviews with. But you know what? All my following is saying we just want more of the investigations. Well, I'm like, but that's going to be the second half of the book in the new book as well. But yeah, I mean, and here's the thing, people. I'm so sincere when I say this. Everything is real. I don't exaggerate anything. Everything is exactly the way it happened when we were out in the field, and some of the stuff is pretty compelling. In fact, I'll give everybody something right now. The full body apparition. If you look at these two pictures, this is not the full body apparition. This is how he started to form. If you look at the picture on the left-hand side of your screen, you'll see my wife. If you look at the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see the ectoplasm cloud starting to form, and you could actually see the entity sucking the energy out of her EVP recorder, if you can see that.
Wow.
Now, if that turned into this, are you guys ready? You guys ready? Ready for this?
Oh, we're ready.
There we go. That's me on the left, totally oblivious. My wife is in the foreground, and on the right is the full body apparition of a spirit that we believe to be that of a man named Thomas Sprott, who was a Revolutionary War hero. You can see his head, his cloak.
Good God Almighty.
So that's me on the left-hand side. I had no idea he was standing next to me. My daughter took the picture.
Oh, your daughter should be awarded the $10,000 Peace Prize for that picture.
Yeah, and that's one of the pieces of evidence in family spirits, and there's others. There's others. And I think the big question a lot of people have is, how do we get this evidence? And I think it's because of the kids, their energy, the way we approach an investigation. We do it very respectfully, and I think we are granted this evidence from these entities that allow us to have it. A lot of skeptics go on investigation, say, well, I never experienced anything. Well, it's because spirits are not trained monkeys there to entertain you.
Right.
They're
Right.
people. They're people like you and me. They just don't have bodies anymore. But they're still there. And there's ways that you can get evidence that will blow people away. Increasingly I look at shows like Ghost Adventures, and lately they don't get as much as they used to get. And a lot of the stuff, a lot of people believe they're faking. You don't have to. You can get the real stuff, but you got to do it the right way.
Yeah, I learned a very valuable lesson with that at St. Ignatius Hospital in Colfax.
Thank you, MJC, by the way. Thank you very much for that comment. I appreciate it.
We were on a roll. We were on fire. I walked into St. Ignatius with a chip on my shoulder. Nothing was going to touch me. I came in provoking. I came in just full of fire. I threw one of my investigators under the bus, and I came home with the ultimate attachment.
Been there. I've been there, and it's not fun.
No, it took.
It's not fun.
It took 6 sagings and 3 blessings to get this thing off of me. It completely destroyed my team's momentum. It almost destroyed my family life. And yeah, I have never walked into an investigation cocky or talking shit since.
Yep.
Throw my team member under the bus, but
you don't antagonize. And I see MJC again is saying, I sound like, well, MJC, you're doing it right. I'll tell you that right now. Ghost Hunting Paranormal GP, thank you very much. Spuzzle, thank you. I appreciate it. You got some great people in your audience. Smart too.
I love each and every one of these people. They've supported me since I started this podcast a little over a month ago.
That's great.
Without these guys, I would be absolutely nothing for podcasts.
Well, they have the right attitude, which is awesome. Seriously. And because we were talking about this before the show, there's a lot going wrong right now in the paranormal world. And that's really the subject of my second book. Because a lot of people are going out there to have parties and get smashed in cemeteries. And it's not good.
Yeah, number one, you're disrespecting the dead that way.
Yeah.
And number two, you're making yourself look like a fool.
Yep.
And number three, you're making us other investigators that put our time, our efforts, our money, our tears, our sweat into this. And making us look like a bunch of monkeys.
Yep.
And it's horse shit.
I totally agree. We are, as a community, we're getting very, very close to proving all of this stuff beyond a reasonable doubt. It's already proven to me, but to the general public and to the scientific community, we're getting very close. Now, all of a sudden, people are getting these phone apps where you could put fake ghost pictures into a photograph, and people are presenting this as real evidence. Or some of these apps where, they're getting these fake ghost box messages, which are basically just recordings on a loop. It's making me crazy. honestly,
Whoever
because
made these deserves to be kicked in the nuts at least a dozen times. I'll be the first one to say, whoever created these, they're going to hell.
I wish they would go somewhere other than this community, because
Yeah,
it's
you and
making
me
me
both.
crazy, because I was just on a forum not too long ago, and a guy seriously posted a picture that was created with one of these fake phone apps where you can put, like, the picture was a ghost with the big wide mouth and the black eyes, like out of the movie Scream, and it was like so obviously fake. And I'm like, dude, really? And people were buying it. There were people that were like, believed this was real. And I'm like, oh, it's just driving me nuts. It was just driving me absolutely crazy.
I understand that. I actually use one of the ghost apps, and it's a radar, and little white dots will pop up, and my daughter absolutely loves it.
Well, funny about the Ghost Radar. When the Ghost Radar first came out, it was actually very first version of it came out for iPhone, and it was developed by a person with real intention of detecting paranormal anomalies, and it used EMF in the form of a radar. And then all of a sudden, all of these other ones popped up that were not so genuine, if you will. I don't know
Yeah.
how else to really say it, but you know, I'm not saying that all phone apps are fraudulent. I'm not saying that at all. There's some really good ones out there, but you have to know who developed it. Like my good friend Danny Big Beard from Big Beard Studios, he developed the Echo Vox, and he everything he develops is developed for the serious paranormal investigator. And then there is Scott Krug from Krugism. He has one of the best phone apps we've ever used, and it's called the Ghost Speaker, which is an Ovilus app for Android. And I've interviewed him for my first book. It's actually in Family Spirits, the interview that I did with him. That's the real deal. But there are others that are completely phony. You need to know who developed it, why they developed it, and you need to play around with it to make sure that you're not basically playing with a party toy.
Yeah. There's the uh
Necrophonic.
necrophonic, thank you.
Haven't used
That
it.
is a
Haven't
bad
used it.
app.
I'm actually not going to use it, and you're probably going. And you might think I'm crazy, but I don't use anything with pentagrams on it. I just because and
That could be bad luck.
it has pentagrams on it, and I don't know why they're there, but it does. And if you guys want to use it, that's fine. Tell me how it works. But I stay away from anything that's even questionable, because I've just had too many negative experiences, and I am a very cautious paranormal investigator. I'm telling you, you have to be careful. You have to be careful. And some of these things, I don't know why they have things on them that they have, but I'm uncomfortable with it. And to me, that's enough.
That's completely understandable. For me, that's enough to, if something has a picture of it that makes me think, well, I really don't know how I feel about this.
What am I summoning using this thing? That's what comes to my mind. What am I summoning if I'm using this thing? It's why, and people have mixed feelings on Ouija boards. I'm just not going to use it because I'm uncomfortable with it. I actually did an interview with a very reputable psychic for my new book, and she was telling me the history of the Ouija board actually comes from an ancient Egyptian spirit communication method, and she's 100% sure that the problem with Ouija boards is that they create portals.
Oh yeah.
And when you
Oh
create a
yeah.
portal, it's like a paranormal party that's coming through.
Yep.
And that's why people need to be really careful. I mean, that's a conduit form of communication as it is. You know how that Ouija board works. The spirit is working through you to move that planchette. I mean, your muscle movements are moving it, but it's not you moving it, if that makes any sense. It's
Yeah.
almost like a mini possession of sorts, and that's how a Ouija board works. So there's an inherent element of risk to that. The same thing with pendulums, which I do. Okay, so I'm not condemning it because I do it myself. And dowsing rods is the same thing. You just have to know. You have to protect yourself, and you have to know what you're doing.
Yeah, most definite. Our first investigation, we we walked into something that was just way above our grade at
Right.
the time.
Right.
From a teenage years, I was always, watching the shows, taking notes, this and that. And our first investigation, I was pinned down. I was physically attacked twice. Shit got thrown. Flowers destroyed. I almost punched one of my investigators.
That's the biggest risk right there because that's where they affect you right here.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
And we cleansed the house, but it wasn't until we found out what was in there did we fully understand that we have to pay way more attention, because a haunting is a haunting.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have several spirits that are pissed off due to the constant fighting in the house,
Mm-hmm.
you have a portal, you have a gatekeeper that's letting them come in and not go back out.
Mm-hmm.
It's affecting your daughter to the point to where, she's getting yanked by her foot out of bed, and it blew my mind. It landed us on our big news station up here. Pantera, I'm busy right now. And
it's okay.
And it really opened up my eyes to what's actually out there.
Yeah.
And it's not just ghosts.
Right.
There you've got your demons, you've got your poltergeist, you've got all sorts of shit out there.
Oh, there's things that we don't even know what they are. I mean, we still don't know what shadow people are. By the way, I'm just reading some of the comments here, and yes, MJC, I understand about the position of the pentagram, if it's upright or inverted. You're totally correct on that. Yeah, and ghosting paranormal GP. I read what you said about the repeating messages on the necrophonic app. Yeah, no, all really, really good comments from you guys. Seriously.
I appreciate you helping me out with this, because I'm so enthralled with what you're saying that I forget I even got a live chat going on right now.
Yeah, but that's my nature. Like if these guys are going to take the effort to like type things in chat, I want to recognize them, because that's just the way I am. It's like I don't want anybody to think that I'm ignoring them, because I would never do that.
Oh, I would totally ignore all these assholes. I love you guys. I didn't really mean that. Especially paranormal consultant, man. He's just an ass. So, Bobby, I gotta know, man. We've mentioned it several times in the podcast, and holy shit, I can't believe it's been 50 minutes already.
I know.
I swear to God, I could talk to you for hours.
Like, where does the time go? Seriously, where does the time go? This was a really good show, though, because a lot of times people, they kind of like it always goes like this. It's like, I get introduced and I got to tell them the whole story and this and then, like this was like a really cool. We talked about like a lot of different things, which I like, things that I don't normally talk about. Which is
Matt Barron, don't even start it, dude. Don't even start it with the chickens. Oh God! Last night we had a podcast that had to do with chickens in a towel, chickens this, chickens that. I can't even remember how it started, but good Lord.
That's okay. I like chicken, so
Me too.
fried.
So I I gotta know what do we have to look forward to in your second book?
Okay. The second book is going to be titled, I don't think I've said this on any shows yet, so okay, I'm going to give you an exclusive. It's
I
Family
for this one.
it's Family Spirits 2 Purpose and the Paranormal. And basically it's going to really focus on what's going on in the paranormal world today. Is it good? Is it bad? And I mean, we've already talked about a lot of it. Um, and the second half is going to be our continuing investigations because that's just part of it. You know, people want to know, what's going on out in the field, but um, basically it's about why are we doing what we're doing? Why are we doing this? I mean, are we doing this to become famous, to become paracelebs, to become YouTube stars? Or are we doing this to help people? Are we doing this to help earthbound spirits? Are we doing this to validate evidence of the afterlife? Why are we doing this? And if you look out along the landscape, paranormal landscape, it's pretty obvious why most people are doing this right now. And in my opinion, it's not for the right reasons. So that's and it's funny because when I approached a lot of big personalities in the paranormal field, like Brian Kano of Haunted Collector, who's going to be doing an interview with me for the book, get this, an archbishop in the Catholic Church is going to do an interview with me for the book.
No way.
Yeah, way.
That
And
is huge.
it's unbelievable. And other people, and they have very definite opinions on this because they see it happening too. So that's going to be in the second book.
Wow.
Yep.
They're known for not saying jack shit about anything paranormal.
They're going to be saying they're going to be saying a lot in this book.
You cracked open a freaking gold mine.
You wait. This is going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one.
And to touch on what you said just a few seconds ago, if people are ghost hunting, and I use that term ghost hunting because they're not paranormal investigators, they're ghost hunting to try to get famous. Get the frick out of our business.
That's why a lot of them are doing it. I mean, there's just no question in my mind because I can see it.
I mean, yeah, it would be fantastic, if we were to get picked up by the Travel Channel, get paid to go places and get equipment that we've always dreamed of. But that's not why I'm in it. I'm in it to help people.
I mean, I don't know if you guys know of, Ryan Buell of Paranormal State. I just met him a couple weeks ago. And personally, I have a great picture that I got with him. But let me tell you something. He may have gotten the big contract with A&E and he did the big series. But I got to tell you that it took a toll on him, a big time toll on him. He had a lot of problems after that show, like big, huge problems. So bad that he had to stop, and now he's just easing his way back into it. But sometimes it's not all it's cracked up to be, honestly. So,
Yeah, I could imagine, the demanding, constant touring, the being away from your family.
Well, it wasn't that as much as the problems he had with the entities that he was investigating. I mean, it doesn't matter if there's a TV camera there or not. I mean, you run up against the wrong entity, you're in trouble.
Oh, yeah.
And it brought a lot of negativity into his life. He suffered, from what I understand, Casey sees this, from what I understand, he suffered from depression. And I know that can be a byproduct of spiritual attachment. So, he had problems with it. You got to be careful. You got to be careful. And these people that think that they're going to become famous and it's all fun and games, I'm just here to say to people, that's not always the case. And I think he's a class A example of that. I still haven't approached him to get an interview for my new book. I think I might do that. If he says no, I'm going to completely understand. But he would be probably the perfect person to ask when it comes to the subject matter of the book.
Oh yeah. And I myself suffer from some illnesses that we'll get into on a different day, but I get messed with a lot during investigations.
Okay.
Like I get a lot of people that try to grab onto me, and you just have to know how to shake them off for sure.
Brian, you got to get one of these, pal.
What is that?
This is a medal of Saint Benedict. You know what a medal of Saint Benedict is?
No clue.
A medal Saint Benedict. This is called the devil chasing medal. This has been used to keep nasty spirits away for hundreds and hundreds of years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you got it. This is like, I will not go on an investigation anymore without one of these on my person, because this works. The back of the medal actually has an exorcism on it.
Really?
Yep. And there's the exorcism right there. That's the exorcism.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's an exorcism. So it works. It works. You don't have to be Catholic to use it. Matter of fact, most people aren't. But I can guarantee you it's 10 times more effective than even saging. So that's what I would recommend. I would recommend everybody get one of those. In fact, I was just at the Warren Seekers of the Supernatural Paracon a couple weeks ago, and people were all asking me. They were like, what do you recommend to protect yourself on an investigation? And that's what I recommend. In fact, I spend a lot of time talking about these things in Family Spirits. There it is in Family Spirits. It's right there. And I'm actually thinking of getting it tattooed on my arm. Right there.
Hey, there you go, man. You're constantly protected that way. Constantly.
Yep. That's how much I believe in it. Where do you get one? You can get them. You honestly just Google Medal of Saint Benedict, David, and you'll find it. They're very easy to get. I would get it blessed. But I was told that you don't even have to do that, that the inscription alone is enough, but I like getting them blessed. In fact, here, I'm going to show you guys something really quick. Hold on one second.
While he's doing this, I want to take the time to say thank you to everybody that is watching tonight. You guys are awesome. Except for David Dement, you're an asshole, but you're one of my founders, and my ex-brother-in-law, so I'm allowed to say that.
This package right here just came from the Vatican, came from Rome, came from the Vatican. This is 100 Saint Benedict medals that were actually blessed by Pope Francis.
Holy shit.
Yeah, for real. I'm not kidding. And here, I'll show you some. Hold on. In case somebody doesn't believe that they came from the Vatican, where is it? Right here. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Read that right on the top. Was the mailing, the packing slip from the Vatican.
Wow.
Everything's in Italian. So yes, and the reason why did I get 100 Saint Benedict medals blessed by Pope Francis? Because at the last Paracon, like I said, we sold out of Family Spirits books at the Paracon, but people were asking me about this, and we were sending them like 2 aisles down to this one person who had Saint Benedict medals available, and Renee, my wife, said we should have them available to people when they ask. So I said, well, I want to get the real deal, so I got them from Rome. So there you go. That's why we got him.
That is awesome. And the paranormal consultant says we have a store nearby in Paxson. Nice.
Oh,
I think I'm
cool.
saying it right.
Cool. Yeah, it
So,
doesn't matter where you get it. It doesn't matter where you get it.
so I got to know, you've done, I'm sure, hundreds of investigations in your years in the field. What is one of your, oh my God, I just shit my pants stories?
I have a couple of them.
Top five stories.
All right. Number one was our second investigation. So our second one as a family. We were in an old cemetery in South Carolina called Old Unity. It was in Fort Mill, South Carolina. To this day, one of the most haunted patches of land I have ever seen in my life. Was told by a shaman friend of mine later that it had a vortex in it, which is probably why it was so haunted. But we were using an EMF detector, and we established a communication with an entity. And we were asking it to ping the needle once for yes, two for no, and answer questions. And all of a sudden, the whole atmosphere got really thick and heavy. And it wasn't just me. My kids felt it. My wife felt it. Something wasn't right. So I asked the spirit if it wanted us to leave. And all of a sudden, it pinged yes. And the thing almost flew out of my hand. And my daughters, they just kind of like freaked. And like, these kids are not afraid of anything, but they knew something was wrong. So we kind of got out of there. Another investigation was on an episode called The Gatekeeper, where this spirit was doing everything it could to make us leave the cemetery. It was draining every piece of equipment. Every time we would take something out that had a full battery charge, drained. We would take another one out, drained. We'd take another one out, drained. My oldest daughter, Nikki, who's an empath, got this really heavy feeling, and it was like putting thoughts into her head about her friend who had just died. And my wife finally established a communication channel with the dowsing rods, and it wanted us to leave in no uncertain terms. I found out later by doing some post investigation research that there were voodoo rituals being done at that cemetery. So it was a guardian spirit of sorts. So yeah, that was another one. That was a really scary one. I would say a third one would be what happened to me at the gate of the Thomas Sprott burial ground, where I couldn't enter, and my EMF in the middle of the woods, and my EMF detector is going absolutely crazy. You actually see this on video, and those are I think those are my top three.
Nice.
Yeah, but they're all three of them are on tape, so you could see the shit scared out of me 3 times if you want. So,
well, paranormal consultant says I gotta go, guys. Great show, Bobby. I sent you a message on Twitter.
awesome.
Let's get in contact. Brian, last word. Laugh my ass off. Love you and love SGC. We love you too,
Awesome.
man. Matt
Thanks,
is
guys.
notorious for he'll be on my show or he'll be in the comments, and all of a sudden he'll go last word and completely ghost me.
I get it. Look, people got to work. I get it. You can only be on shows so long. But anyway, I mean, I guess I'll just mention everything one last time, if that's okay with you, Brian.
Oh man, I've got all night to talk, brother.
I wish I did. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to go soon myself. But FamilySpiritsBook.com is where you can get the book. Use the promo code 2021 to get that big discount. And GhostHunter.ws is our website for our web series. Those are the only 2 things I really need people to know.
Well, I will definitely be spreading that word around. Most definite. I will spread that like the gospel.
Thank you. You guys were great. I can't even tell you how much I enjoyed doing this show. This was really fun. This is a good show. This was a good
Thank you.
show.
Thank you. I believe in just, being myself, and if people don't like it, they'll ghost me and I'll run the show for an hour and a half with an open podcast.
Well, it's definitely you as the host because you're the anchor for sure, but it's also your people. You got
Oh,
great people here in the chat. They all have great questions and they're interactive and they're nice.
and
I
I
mean,
would like to say as well that you, sir, have been my highest viewed, well, viewer wise in the chat video.
that's awesome. That's awesome. That's great. I love that. I love that.
And
Seriously.
and it's fitting, an awesome guy like you gets an awesome amount of fans. It's well deserved.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And hopefully we helped each other here. And that's what I like. That's what I want to do. I want everybody to help everybody else. I mean, that's to me, that's where it's at.
And that's the definition of para unity, brother.
No doubt.
Definition.
All right.
So before we hop off here,
Yes, sir.
I have to know, what got you originally into the paranormal?
Well, I've always been a very strange kid. Well, I was a strange kid when I was a kid. I'm 58 right now, so I'm not a kid anymore. But I was
We're all kids at heart.
yeah, exactly. But I was a very strange kid. I was always into the weird shit. And I talk about it in Family Spirits. I probably talk about it too much in Family Spirits about my experiences as a kid. But I had a couple paranormal experiences as a kid. A lot of weird dreams that I think were paranormal in nature. And, but here's the thing. Okay. But modern day, thanks, Nicole, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Lately though, like in recent years, my father died in 1983. And he died of pancreatic cancer, and he was very sick before he died. He was very emaciated, thin. And for years after he had died, I was having nightmares about him still being alive in that cancerous state. And it was bothering me. It was bothering me so much at one point that I was actually going to go for counseling. And then all of a sudden, one day, I got a call. I was living, like I said earlier, I was living in the South. And I got a call from my sister-in-law, okay? This is my sister-in-law. And she said, I just went for a psychic reading from a medium. I said, really? Okay, well, why are you calling me? She goes, because something happened during the reading that you need to know. I said, what? She goes, the medium right during the reading stopped and said, do you know someone named Bobby? And she goes, yeah, that's my brother-in-law. She goes, I'm getting a message from somebody named Vince, which was my father. Vince needs to get a message to Bobby. And my sister-in-law goes, what message? Tell him that I don't look like that anymore, that I'm young again.
Wow.
When my sister-in-law told me that on the phone, 5 states away, where she sat in this reading, it had an effect on me that I can't describe. There was my father reaching out from beyond the grave to tell me that these dreams I was having were not real, that he didn't look like that in the afterlife he was healthy again. That started me on the path. That's when I said, I need to get answers. I need to get more answers. I need to find out how this could possibly be. So even though I had done an investigation back in 1990, I knew how I had to get back into it again because of this experience, because this was the real deal. Now, you want to hear something really cool? Let me tell you something really cool about all of this. I didn't know who this medium was. And just fairly recently, I finally found out the name of this medium, and she did an interview with me for my next book.
Oh no.
Yes, I already did the interview. It was amazing. Amazing.
Oh man. That had to have been not only just the weirdest thing that you've probably done, but the most comforting thing at the same time.
It was amazing. And David and Ghosting, thank you. I mean, trust me, the only reason I'm not tearing up right now is because I don't have any tears left. Trust me when I tell you, it's just, and it's a true story. It's a true story. And this woman is amazing. She's one of the real ones out there. Not only did she prove it to me because of that reading, but her story is so mind-boggling that I don't even want to give it away here. I mean, it's going to be in my next book, which is just, I was so excited. And when I told her, because she didn't really know the impact of what she was saying at the time, when I told her the backstory on her reading, even she was blown away, because she doesn't usually get that kind of insight, because these things just come to them. You know, she was just the messenger, but she didn't know the backstory on it. And yeah, it's just one of those things. So, you know, the paranormal is very impactful and can be very impactful for a lot of people, because, you know, mediums, to me, that's paranormal too. That's just paranormal in the broad sense, because people think paranormal, they think, you know, ghost hunters and paranormal investigators. They don't realize that, you know, near-death experiences, which I've had one, and psychic mediums, and you know, ADC, after-death communication, that's all paranormal too. It's all paranormal.
Yeah. And you know, I'm honestly afraid to go to a psychic. You know,
I get that. I understand.
Some things in my past that should stay in my past. You know, but I'm afraid she's gonna pull up one of my relatives, and like you, when my father passed in 2006, man, I had this nightmare for years that I was the only person in the viewing room. And I go to grab his hand, and he grabs it back. And he sits up, he comes out of the coffin, he's dripping skin and muscle. He's walking towards me for a hug. And as I'm backing away, I always look to my right, and there's this little girl with long black hair with her hands behind her back standing in the corner. And once he touches me, man, I wake up swinging.
Yeah, and you know what? Even, you know, it's kind of like the dreams I was having for years. I mean, I get it. You know, I mean, you know, my dad was in this cancerous state, and he was very detached, you know, in my dreams. And it's like, you know, I was feeling like, why did he leave us, kind of thing. You know, all these false emotions that you feel sometimes during those kind of situations. But the good news about it all is that sometimes that's a creation of our mind, and they do exist, but they're in a better state right now, because all the evidence points to the fact that when we pass on, we are, you know, we go back to like the 30th, you know, like in our, you know, we're like in our early 30s, like that prime age, you know, that's where you revert to in the spirit realm. It's kind of hard to explain, but and I'm kind of getting into the weeds here, but suffice to say that I get what you went through.
Yeah, it's definitely a rough thing to go through.
Right.
Before you go, I want to introduce you to my always late but never great second lead, Guthrie.
Hey, Guthrie, how you doing?
Doing good, buddy. How you holding up?
Oh, I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
you missed out on one of the greatest podcasts that we have ever done.
Oh yeah.
You flatter me. You flatter me.
But most definite, Guthrie, if you have any questions for Bobby, now is the definite time.
All I know is right now, good sir, the invite that you sent me was set for 8 p.m.
Oh my gosh. Really?
Yeah.
I don't know why Facebook does that. I set it for 7, it says 8. I set it for 9, it says 10.
Yeah, I don't know. Don't know, brosive.
But anyways, Bobby is a paranormal investigator since 1990. He is an author of number 3 on Amazon, and a world-renowned magician, a musician. I mean, this guy's done it all. Can you give Guthrie the rundown of what you've done before you hop off, sir?
Yeah. Just exactly what you said. Musician, professional touring magician for about 15 years, colleges, cruise ships, Las Vegas, all that cool stuff. Started my very first paranormal investigation before paranormal investigator, before that term was ever coined, was in 1990, investigating in a haunted theater. Was actually started one of the first paranormal web series on YouTube. Then paranormal web series became very, very popular, gained a pretty extensive following all around the world, honestly. Years later, my followers asked me to write a book based upon our experiences, which I did, which is Family Spirits. That's the book right there. Hit number 3 on Amazon in the adventure travel category. And here we are. This is it. We are right here on this podcast. And I am excited about it. Spokane Ghost Talk.
Which he said is one of the best he's been on.
It is for a lot of reasons. I like the easy atmosphere, and your people that listen to it are awesome. They're absolutely awesome. I love these people. I want to connect with each and every one of them on Twitter. So yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. And I'm telling you what, right now, Bobby, I definitely want a round 2 with you in the near future.
Absolutely.
I have had so much fun. I've learned so much about you, and I can't wait to read more of your book and
see,
just
that's what I want.
Everything I can about
that's what I want. I want you to read the book, and then I want you to tell me what parts you liked and stuff like that, because that's what I like to hear. That's what you could do for me, is just read the book and just give me feedback. That's, to me, that's the best.
Well, I will guarantee you by the time we set up round 2, I will have that book read and memorized.
You're assuming that you can read.
Shut up, Jeffrey. Don't even start with me today. Just because I got a 3rd grade reading level don't mean shit, buddy.
I don't know.
You guys are great. Now, this is recorded, right, Brian?
Yes, sir. This is on Twitch, this is on Twitter, and this is on YouTube.
Okay. Oh, good. Perfect. Because I'm going to, I got, what do I got? 4,000 on Twitter, 5,000 on Facebook. So I'm going to get this out to everybody. So.
Awesome. And if you have anybody that wants to be a guest, I have December through next December wide open.
Okay. All right. Okay. I will definitely send them your way. No question about it. But no, thanks for having me on today. I mean, seriously, if I didn't have to go, I would I could stay on with you guys all night too. But probably best to end on a high note anyway, because this is, like I said, this has actually been a really good show.
Well, I very much appreciate that, sir. And anytime you want to get together and chat, you know how to get a hold of me.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I'm gonna be doing investigations on StreamYard. And honestly, I'd love to have you as a virtual investigator with me.
Hey, that sounds great. That sounds cool. Let's do that. So everybody, ghosthunter.ws, that's my web series. That's on Vimeo. So ghosthunter.ws. If you guys can subscribe to me on Vimeo, that would be so cool. I would really appreciate it.
Well, as soon as we hop off here, good sir, that's the first place I'm going. I personally don't have to find your book because you hooked it up.
It's
But
true.
any bookstore, virtual or physical, you can find this man's book. Go out and buy it. It's definitely worth the read. Bobby, you've been a great guest, brother, and we will talk to you very soon.
All right. Hey guys, thank you very much, man. And all the best, man. I appreciate it, man.
Right back at you, brother. You take care.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Later. What up, Guffer?
Nothing. The invitation's at 8:00, so I planned everything around 8.
That sucks, man. I should have sent you the invite sooner.
High five. You just fucking did amazing, dude.
Thank you.
Sorry. I did not know she was in here.
But to everybody that watched this tonight, thank you. Definitely hit the like and subscribe button. This was by far our best guest, our highest number of viewers. We actually hit over 10 viewers tonight. Not bad for a start for only a little over a month going.
And my lighter.
Yeah. But unfortunately, don't go anywhere, Guthrie.
Okay.
Unfortunately, comes the time, ladies and gentlemen, that we must bid adieu. So from your ghost host, Brian James, from Mr. Guthrie, we love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. And we have another podcast tomorrow. Same bat time, same ghoulish channel. So until tomorrow, folks. Peace.